Morning, children. Today we'll read about Good morning, children. Today we will read about the structure of heart. You can see the internal structure of the human heart. You people are aware of this thing, that heart is being divided into two parts. This part is the left part and this is the right part. You can see the partition wall present over here. This is septum. Now keep in mind, the right part of the heart is responsible for receiving and pumping out deoxygenated blood, or the blood which is loaded with carbon dioxide, whereas the left portion is responsible for receiving and pumping out oxygenated blood, the blood which is loaded with oxygen. Now first we'll start with right part, which is loaded with deoxygenated blood. This right part, this anterior part of the heart, this is known as right atrium. Upper part atrium, lower part ventricles. This part is known as your ventricle, as you can see here. So this right part is responsible for receiving deoxygenated blood from entire body, either through superior vena cava. Superior vena cava keeps on receiving that deoxygenated blood from head and arms region, and inferior vena cava, this one you can see, inferior vena cava, it keeps on receiving from the lower portion of the body, means below arms, whatever the portion is there, it keeps on receiving the deoxygenated from there. Then these open into the right auricle. This is right auricle. From right auricle, blood moves to, deoxygenated blood moves to right ventricle. You can see the portion. This is right ventricle. But you can see here presence of valve. This is 3-flap valve. Now what is the function of valve? Valves prevent the backflow of liquid. If it is blood here, it prevents the backflow of blood from ventricle to auricle. Now from this ventricle, the blood is pushed for purification to the lungs. So just see the blood vessel. This is known as your pulmonary artery, because you should be aware of this thing by this time, that arteries are the blood vessels which take the blood away from heart. So this pulmonary artery, this is your artery to the left lung, and this is your artery, pulmonary artery to the right lung. Is it clear? Now this blood is taken to lungs for purification or for getting loaded with oxygen. After the blood gets purified over there in lungs, it returns back to the left portion. Now the question is why? Why from lungs the blood cannot reach to each and every part of the body? Because the blood needs the pumping action, the pressure, the force with which it can be moving through the arteries. So once it enters the left atrium, can see here, this is left atrium. From left atrium, the blood moves to left ventricle. You can see here. Now in the partition between left auricle or left atrium and left ventricle, there is a valve known as bicuspid. Keep in mind, like left hand side bicuspid valve, whereas right hand side it is your tricuspid valve. Got it? From this left ventricle, blood moves through this aorta. You can see the red structure present over here. Through this aorta to each and every part of the body. Is that clear? So I think it is clear to you all that arteries are the blood vessels which take the blood away. This is artery when it is the thickest artery of the body. Arteries keep on taking the blood away from heart, and veins, they bring the blood towards the heart. But two exceptions are there. This pulmonary artery, as you can see here, this is an artery, but it is carrying that deoxygenated blood, whereas normally arteries carry oxygenated blood. Am I clear? And there is another vein which normally carries deoxygenated blood, but pulmonary vein carries oxygenated blood. So these two are the exceptions. Now you can see the chamber of the heart, the outer covering. This is known as pericardium, where you have the presence of pericardial fluid which acts as a shock absorber. So again I am telling entry of deoxygenated blood from auricle to ventricle through tricuspid valve, and again the movement of this blood to lungs for purification. From purification, after purification from lungs, blood comes back to heart. It enters now the left portion. From left atrium, it moves to left ventricle, and from left ventricle, it comes out through this aorta and supplies oxygenated blood to each and every part of the body. I think it's clear.